Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How's everyone?
We could.
Right. While everybody joins, let's give people a couple of minutes. It's a Sunday. Let's be generous. Couple of minutes for people to join while I open up your module that we're going to cover today.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. All right. I think we can begin. Let's get started with the people who joined on time. All right. Did anybody get a chance to look at the materials from last week? Nobody? कोई कुछ नहीं बोल रहा। सारे सारे के सारे बिना पढ़े आए हैं।
No, ma'am.
चलो, Devayan has at least gone and said, okay, let me admit, I haven't read it. That's
Yes, I
okay.
haven't. Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Like I said, this is not mandatory. It's absolutely up to
Most
your
of, I
discretion.
believe most of us are busy with the quarter ending. So the
क्या
second
करना
quarter
है,
is
सब मोह माया है। Devayan, everything is मोह माया। अरे यार, इसको ना बिल्कुल पॉज कर recording. All right, welcome everybody. Module number 4, part 2. I am going to present my screen. It says session number 6 today because we did one day where we covered a lot of stuff. So I'm changing the number to session number 6 and bringing my screen up for display to catch you up as to what all we covered the last time because we did cover a significant amount of material last time. Share my Microsoft PowerPoint screen. And here we go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
Badhiya. All right, 22nd September, we are diving into module number 4, continuous learning. What all have we covered? We have covered what is continuous learning. We have also talked about the strategy, the culture, the technology trends. If you remember the last slide, which had a lot of options of what kind of technology adoptions we can do for continuous learning, and then we had tied it to how it can be implemented and what outcomes can be derived from it. That is where we left. Today, we want to talk about latest technology concepts. We want to talk briefly about what are chatbots, how they function. Most of us know about it. It's not something which is rocket science, but it's worth being mentioned for people who do not have an in-depth understanding. Again, some of the concepts that we will cover today, we will not really drill them down in a way that they can be, just a minute, guys. Drill them down in a way that you will have to memorize it or you will have to do the typical, as I call it in Hindi, tota ratta. You don't have to do tota ratta. But then I want you to have intelligent conversations when you talk to somebody about a chatbot. What is a chatbot? ये वही जो हम यूज करते हैं ना आजकल सारे वेबसाइट पे जो इंसान की तरह हमसे बात करते हैं. Please don't say that. It's very, very disheartening. And I find it to be highly disruptive when somebody who is in the field of learning talks like that. I personally have highly disgusting experiences when I talk to people about what their experience is, how they use chatbots, etc. So one of the things that I was personally invested in when I got this module was to make it so amicable that people can actually talk to anybody and simply explain them in an easy, understandable way as to what really chatbots are, what's the science behind it, etc. etc. We're going to talk about gamification. We'll talk about levels of gamification, impact of technological advancements on continuous learning, how the learning landscape is constantly changing, impact of e-learning on continuous learning. What gift has e-learning been to implement continuous learning? Because one of the things that happens in most organizations is, अरे अक्टूबर का टाइम आ गया सारा लर्निंग का बजट खत्म कर दो जो भी ध्यान रहे उल्टे पुल्टे कोर्सेज ले लिए यूडेमी ले लिया ये ले लिया वो ले लिया जस्ट डंप लर्निंग ऑन पीपल एंड से यही टाइम मिलता है अभी सीख लो which is, according to me, not really honoring the concept or the spirit of continuous learning, which means that we have to also balance our e-learning capabilities to make sure that we are not mindlessly using our learning budgets and we are able to get the bang for the buck. What other e-learning elements that basically trump the classroom learning? Because most people whom you talk to, especially people from the older generations, including myself, अरे यार classroom training की बात ही अलग होती है, अच्छे से समझ आता है, ये होता है, वो होता है. We have a lot of assumptions, a lot of great things to say about classroom learning, and we're very quick to point. What are the disadvantages of e-learning? Very few times do we really look at what true advantages have e-learning actually brought to continuous learning. So we'll explore that a bit. Then, of course, there's the self-learning questionnaires, which is available in your book. Did you guys receive the book, by the way? I didn't get a status update. Have you guys received the book?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yay! I
Yes,
found I
ma'am.
got my book as well. Great. So now we all have the book. You have the self assessment questionnaires, which are really fun to do. And in case you are seeing yourself going back into the chapter to get the answers, very good. It means that you are also doing a mini revision on the spot. Okay. Let's delve deep into it. I'll give you some additional material as well. But for this slide, I'm going to, like I do most of the time, I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds for you to absorb what's there on the screen. And we are going to use the same example that we had looked last time about Venn diagrams or sets जो हम बनाते थे ऐसे गोल गोल circles बनाते थे. But before that, have a look at what you have on the screen for a few seconds, absorb the material, and then I will start talking to it. Believe or not, believe me or not, there is a lot of material here on this slide. It looks very little, but there is a lot to understand from it. And because it's a graphic, it should be easy for all of us to remember, irrespective of the fact whether you're an audio visual learner or you're a visual learner or you're a kinesthetic learner. So let me shut up for a few seconds, absorb the material, guys, and then I'm going to start talking through. All right, let's see. Somebody has made a comment on the chat. Let me read that comment. Sorry, I couldn't get the time to read it. Yes. Okay. Yes. They do need more development. Thank you, Ganesh. All right. So let's look at what we have on the screen. Everybody okay? All of you have read through this. This is not rocket science. Most of you understand. Yes, no, maybe. Let
Yeah,
us look at the
understood.
hands. Understood? Okay. So now let's make it very simple. My purpose in life is to simplify things. I believe in simplicity. So let's begin from, what should I say? Okay, my left to right. Let's look at that. We are talking about the human brain and we are trying to understand artificial intelligence. Who can give me the most simple definition of what artificial intelligence is? Does anybody have a definition of artificial intelligence? Super easy, quick one. Anybody wants to take a stab?
Artificial intelligence is something which is classify the information which is already been available into the data source, and classify and give the limited information which we are asking from artificial intelligence. Let's suppose we have asked any specific question, they take out the data, they refer the data source, classify that and validate if it is relevant to it is matching with the information which we are asking, and give that information to us.
Okay. It's a technical definition. Let me dummy it down, guys. And you might think, कि क्यों कर रहे हैं? Simply and only for one reason, for all of you to understand it truly. How many of you have experienced the fact कि हमें लगता तो है कि समझ आया, मगर truly in here नहीं समझ आता? I have experienced that with physics. Physics has been my subject. It's my love of my life. First love of my life is physics. I'm a master's in physics and I've done my engineering in electronics. So physics is very close to my heart. When people would teach me escape velocity, they would teach me momentum, they would teach me inertia. समझ तो आता था मगर समझ नहीं आता था. समझ तो आता था. If any of you can relate to that, you would. कि you
Yes,
feel that
ma'am.
you have understood it.
Happens.
मगर सच में समझ नहीं
Yeah,
आया. समझ नहीं आया
exactly.
अच्छे से.
Yeah.
ऐसे तो बुक में तो पढ़ लिया, नहीं समझ आया. So this is how I have understood artificial intelligence. And if you guys, if it helps you, it will be a great gift for you, people who are around you, your children, even your parents.
Can I give
In-
one example, ma'am?
Yes, please, Bharat, go ahead.
So I just wanted to correlate with one example. For example, uh, artificial intelligence is a dictionary which contain all the details. And when you ask any meaning of one word, it can bring out the answer from there.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bharat. And okay, great example. इस पे build करते हैं. If we consider artificial intelligence to be accessing a wonderful dictionary, which has a lot of material, where does that material come from? वो material हम कहाँ से acquire करते हैं? जो dictionary में लिखा गया है. Where does it come from?
That comes
Ma'am,
from
especially
other users only. Some life
Lots of
experience.
lots of organization are working on that, like metadata, or Amazon have their own data source. So multiple organizations are creating that and giving those data to other also, so that they can build up their
डेटा
AI.
तो ठीक है, डेटा तो ठीक है, मगर ये डेटा कहाँ से आ रहा है? ये तो एक्सेस कर रहे हैं, Amazon एक्सेस कर रहा है.
Human
Google.
intelligence.
Human
Human.
intelligence.
Human.
Okay, great, great. Thank you. Let's work with that. Human intelligence. How does human intelligence get built? Human intelligence जो है वो कहाँ से build हुआ?
ma'am, it is based on historical data, historical information,
Great. Historical data कहाँ से build हुआ?
based on previous information, past data, the research,
Great.
and then we
Details
Very
keep
good.
data
building.
that we have
अब
added into the
information
Google.
information कहाँ से आया आपके पास? Think of yourself. अगर मुझे कोई information लेना है as a human being, मशीन भूल जाओ, इंटरनेट भूल जाओ, कैसे इंफॉर्मेशन आता है आपके पास?
Stories.
To communication. To communication.
कम्युनिकेशन के लिए क्या यूज करते हो?
Language. Stories.
A medium.
लैंग्वेज स्टोरीज. और लैंग्वेज स्टोरीज के लिए क्या यूज करते हो?
A
बॉडी
medium.
पार्ट्स, बॉडी पार्ट्स, बॉडी पार्ट्स. हिंट
Speaking.
हिंट हिंट.
Speaking expression.
Hearing.
You
Hearing.
guys got it. That's the lowest micro level. हम बातें कर रहे हैं आंखें
Hearing.
और 5 senses.
Five senses.
उसके बिना आपको कैसे इंफॉर्मेशन मिलेगा? बायोलॉजी. हाउ डू यू गेट इंफॉर्मेशन? थ्रू योर 5 senses. उस इंफॉर्मेशन को कौन प्रोसेस करता है बताइए?
Brain.
Brain.
ब्रेन. ठीक है. ब्रेन प्रोसेस करके एक डिसजॉइंट इंफॉर्मेशन को एक आकार देके आपके दिमाग में स्टोर करता है. Darwin's experiment, when the dog listened to the bell with the food, even without the food, the dog would start salivating, क्योंकि उसने bell के साथ उसे associate किया है. Similarly, when you get a lovely smell from the kitchen, you automatically imagine कि ये खाना बन रहा है. Maybe वो नहीं बन रहा, but still, because you associate a memory with that. What is memory? What is information? It is your brain's processed data byte that it stores in the cortex, which is the cortex frontal part of your brain, not your back brain. Do you remember, guys, I spoke to you about amygdala?
Yep.
Right? Is the reptilian brain. जो ये ध्यान रखता है सब ठीक है, सब ठीक है, सब ठीक है. It operates non-stop till the day we leave the world. It is one of the things that stays with mammals in every situation. Hi, Mummy. It stays with mammals. It checks whether you are alive, you are dead, whether situations are favorable, not favorable. That is what the amygdala deals with. It doesn't deal with information. The information is stored in the frontal part of the brain. तो आपको information आगे से आया, आंखों से आया, smell से आया, ठीक है, with language आया. So vision, speech, these are large ways in which we communicate. We receive information. Our brain processes it, then stores it as data inside our brains. Now machines are trying to do what humans are doing. तो वो क्या कर रहे हैं? वो ये collected human intelligence को, जिसको हमने इंटरनेट पे different shapes and forms में डाला है. It's blogs, it's websites, it's coding, it's many other forms that we have put out the data. ये वो काम कर रहा है which our senses do. So they are taking that as an external stimuli, processing it, and storing it inside their brain. There, as in a robot or an intelligence system. Not all systems are robots, but an intelligence system. Does it make a little more sense? It made a lot of sense to me, but does it make sense? Yes, so maybe, guys,
Yes, ma'am.
some responses.
Yes.
Yeah. Simplify करते हैं. Basically, है क्या? It is the human way of working that gives us the experience to how to respond. For example, I give you a very sad news. Okay? यार ये होना था. I had to get this deal. I had to buy this house. I actually paid 70 lakhs. I was supposed to get it. I was supposed to get possession. नहीं दे रहे यार. Delay हो गया. Now this is a sad news. What is your brain's processing about sad news? Sorry to hear that. Yes, no? Most of the time हम Hindi, English ऐसे ही कुछ बोलेंगे. Sorry to hear that. And then the next thing you will say is, how can I help? Or चल यार तेरा मूड ठीक करते हैं. Let's go out. You know, let's order something. Let's go out. Let's visit some place. Let's make you feel a little better. Or the third response, who truly cares for you, would say, अच्छा अब क्या होगा? अब क्या करें? There's a third response. Now this response will also vary. How will it vary? Culturally, country to country, it will vary. For some people, will say, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then people will move on. I'm saying this because I stayed in UK for a very long time. That's what people will say. They will express their sorry and they will move on. They will not ask the question, ab kya kare? They will not ask the question, come, let's cheer you up. That might be the American way. So the way data is processed and it gets converted into information depends upon not only the brain's processing power, but largely socio-cultural experiences. And this is why a certain learning module, which will work in Poland, will not work in US, which will work in US will not work in Pakistan, and what will work in Pakistan might not work in India. Yahan tak clear hai? Yes? Yes. Need to nahi aa rahi logon ko. I'm just trying to make sure.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. ठीक है? थोड़ा बहुत interaction करते रहो, guys, so that I don't feel that I'm totally lost. So that is why a robot which will work in China will not work in India. And because the robot is processing information a certain way. And that is why it cannot emulate a human being. What is the concept behind artificial intelligence? To simplify human life, to provide comfort, to eliminate repetitive tasks, to give more time for the human creative brain to do greater, bigger things. This is opposite to the understanding of artificial intelligence. या मैं नौकरियां ले रहे हैं. हमको सब्सटीट्यूट कर रहे हैं, हमको कोई सब्सटीट्यूट नहीं कर सकता. Human beings cannot be substituted. The reason we have robotics and artificial intelligence in place is to have comfort in our life, to make things easier for us, to remove any kind of manual intervention, and to error proof. So instead of a big bad villain, look at artificial intelligence as something that enables and empowers us. How many of you have heard about the word robotic surgeries nowadays?
Yes, ma'am, heard.
Yeah. I had a friend who recently got her uterus removed. Okay, hysterectomy is what it's called. She was going through menopausal problems. Do you know how many stitches she got? Anybody wants to take a guess?
Hardly 2.
No stitches.
0 stitches.
No stitches.
0 stitches. He
Yes.
just had a few holes done and they were glued. Stitch
Glued,
bhi nahi
yes.
lage, glued. Okay?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Da Vinci, Ganesh, you're right, Da Vinci. So, that is the whole idea about simplifying your life. Uski recovery fast hai. Infection ke chances almost 0 hai. You don't have to go to the hospital for any follow-ups. The doctor is like, all right, as long as tum pani nahi laga rahe ho, everything will be fine. Robotic surgery. Again, there is human intelligence in some organs. It is better that you have a human being poking inside you. But then there are other things also that you can and you will want human intervention in. For example, education system. For example, it cannot be one size fits all. जिसके बारे में हम शुरू से बात कर रहे हैं. We do not want to completely depend on machines. So, ये अपने आप को, what we do with this intelligence that is being provided to us, how we use it, do we become lazy, we become vegetables, or we actually use our time to create something greater is up to us, up to the humankind. And again, this is where I go a little philosophical. But to understand truly the power of artificial intelligence, it's important to have our basics right. That is why समझ तो आया मगर समझ नहीं आया. I am trying to make sure that you guys understand where we can harness the power in learning. Because then suddenly you say कि भाई ये तो सारा machine ही कर लेगा, मेरा क्या काम है? And then you start becoming hands off, and that is where you lose the game. Because then you become irrelevant. That is when the machine replaces you. Yes, Geeta.
Tina, I have a question because lots of MNCs are putting AI in everything, be it each of the departments, and they are focusing that put AI wherever you feel that it can be implemented. So how good it is like to put to implement AI in every part of work, from hiring to attrition, because every step you say everywhere they are putting AI, they are just checking that where we can put, because sometimes we feel that lots of machine intervention is also not good. So how good it is to
Okay. So in my classroom, I prefer to have something called no judgment. Let us say कि भाई कोई बंदा तो कर रहा है. They are implementing artificial intelligence in everything. उनके दिमाग में घुस के देखते हैं, why are they doing it? बताओ क्यों कर रहे हैं? Other than
Reduce
cost.
human intervention, reducing the errors, reducing the probability of emotional failure and
Yes.
maybe conflict.
Speed, error,
Speed.
conflict, intervention, manual dependence. Now, let's say you are running a business. Wouldn't you want all of those things?
Sure.
Yes or
yes,
no?
of course. Yes, of
है
course.
ना? अगर मेरे 2 लाख रुपए लगे हैं, 2 लाख क्यों, मैं तो बोलती हूँ 20,000 रुपए लगे हैं. Will I not make sure that जो बंदा वो 20,000 रुपए यूज कर रहा है in the business, they would want to be there at all times, day, night, 24/7. You would not want somebody to go on a mat leave. You would not want to go somebody on a sabbatical. You would not want somebody to create or commit an accuracy error of a 0. एक कम 0 लगाया, ज़्यादा 0 लगा दिया. So when you flip the story around, suddenly it's like, हाँ यार, ये तो होना चाहिए. So to respond to your question, first of all, let's understand why our company is doing it. ठीक है? The genesis is from within. Again, you have to then do what? Show value. What value does a human being add, which a machine cannot? So when you say the question कि हर चीज में AI लगा रहे हैं, they're putting AI in everything. What is the value that a human can add, which a machine cannot? If you are, obviously, I'm sure, Geeta, unless and until you are running your own company, you won't be a part of all the departments. You might be a part of some of them, but not all of them. The places where you are a part of, what are the benefits that a human intervention can have other than the regular menial manual tasks? If you are able to highlight that, one, you will be at peace. Second, the company sees the value that you add. And it also allows for manual optimization, manual work optimization, which also might mean workforce optimization. Instead of 5 people, now you can actually work with 3 people. But those 3 people will have higher than average work quality. वो फोटो पेपर छापना, स्टेपलर लगाना, एक कोने से दूसरे कोने में लेके जाना, फाइलिंग करना, वो सारा काम तो खत्म हो गया ना. So we have to first of all acknowledge that our quality of work is evolving. We have छोटे काम के लिए अब humans बचे नहीं हैं. That is for the machines to do. What we have to do is higher level work. Now it's up to your choice. You can fight for these jobs, or you can say, okay, if my situation is getting elevated, what kind of value can I add? How am I going to utilize my time? What value can I show to the company? Maybe you're adding value anyways.
Got your point, Ina, but because what I can foresee is in upcoming 4 or 5 years is like organization is thinking like all the repetitive work should be done by AI, and you should have a more span of business. Like right now, if
Yes.
we are handling one zone or one geo, so you should handle 5 or 6 zones, since
Yes.
most of the work has been handled by the AI itself. So
Yes.
I think in the future, so we may have a lots of pressure in terms of intelligence or
You will. You are right. You will. You will. You
So
will have a lot of pressure, and handling more spans is becoming normal. Accenture has a span of 400 people for one HR person, whereas earlier it used to be 200. It's double the span already. Somebody was saying something. I'm sorry. I interrupted.
no, so I was just adding one view over there,
Yes, please.
that
Yes.
it can be like even embracing this AI with one person, the human being, those who can leverage it at most. Obviously, he can make difference in his domain.
Yes. Look at
So
the example. Look at the example that is in the chat. If you ask, Ganesh has given the example. If you ask any policy to human resources, वो क्या बोलेंगे? PDF पढ़ लो. PDF में रखा हुआ है. As compared to that, if you go and ask a chatbot, because it has the intelligence to scan the document, they will give the information that you're asking for accurately. What is more useful? As a human being, I'm sitting here. Somebody is coming and asking me a question on policy. Okay? Oh, yeah, पढ़ लो यार अपने आप. So I'm a human being, right? That would be my reaction. Strong, I have 1 billion other things to do. But if I can use AI as my minion, guys, this is my favorite statement. Don't be a minion to AI. What is a minion? Everybody knows what a minion is? Everybody knows what a minion is? Yes, no, baby? Okay, let's
Yes.
replace the word. Minion
Yes.
is, yeah, the yellow guys, the funny guys. Basically, they're slaves. Okay? So don't be a slave to AI. Make AI your slave. AI को use करो. Abuse करो. मगर AI के चक्कर में, चंगुल में मत फंसो. Do not let AI control your life. You control the outcomes that AI provides. And you draw the line beyond which AI cannot contribute. In that situation, you will have to be superior to the machines. And it's not a fight. It is just, we are, because we are the ones who are providing that intelligence to the machines, right? As human beings will evolve, the machines will also evolve because they are accessing the same database of information. So there are things that AI will never be able to do that human beings are capable of. So to respond to Geeta's question, which triggered this whole conversation, is pressure will increase, span will increase. But if you are able to leverage AI in a smart way for the data to be arranged, for everything to be ready for you, for mails to be, you guys, anybody who has experienced an excellent onboarding system, which basically generates the letter, attaches the letter to the email, also sends it to the end participant, gets their acceptance, files it in your folder, maintains the employee database. आप सोचो onboarding वाले candidate जो personnel है या employee है उसका काम क्या बचा है? Nothing. That person can focus on an amazing induction for the people. They can focus on providing excellent superior employee experience rather than being busy with PAN number, Aadhaar number, address details, reference checks. All of that can be taken care of by AI. So AI is, again, not to use the word slave, I like to use the word minion. Make AI your minion. Let them do the running around. Let them do that. The rest of it, you can calmly sit down and you can do greater work. You can actually finalize and optimize your policies. You can provide an excellent, superior employee experience. You can make sure the handoff of the employee from a new to a seasoned supervisor is smoother. So it's a matter of perspective. There is a place of fear that we come from, concern that we come from, which you said that it's not good. I agree. But then most of the time, it turns out to be not good when people don't draw the line. They abuse the AI system to an extent that they become dependent on it. And then the AI system controls your life rather than you controlling your life. It doesn't give you a perspective, Gita. I know it's not a response as a straight response. It's a longish response, but you get the drift. Does it help?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen cars that have gone into accidents because of artificial intelligence systems? How many of you have heard about it?
ADAS system?
Artificial, yes, ADAS system, but other than that also,
Tesla,
somebody hacking your car while you're not moving, the car is moving. You're trying to brake, the car is not braking. And then there was one incident in US when it was actually a Tesla experiment when they wanted to do the car to do something which it didn't do. It did the exact opposite and it crashed like 8 or 10 cars. What is happening in this situation? Are you in control? Is AI in control?
AI.
Yeah, control. Dependency is
Have
very
you
high.
drawn the line? Have you drawn the line? Have you identified the risk? हमने RCA की बात करी थी. Did we do a root cause analysis? Do we know our RPN number? Do we have an FMEA? That is what the scientists are working on. And that is why you do not find the self-driving cars. I am telling you, there's a lot of work that has already gone into it. It can be made live, but still we are not doing it because we still haven't drawn the line as to where it can be hacked. Exactly. Insufficient information provided to machines. Because machines को जो बोलेंगे वो करेगा. उसकी intelligence नहीं है human brain की तरह where to draw the line, a way to take a decision tree. The decision tree has to be decided by the human कि कहाँ पे तुम flowchart पे yes or no question पूछोगे. Yes, Shivani.
Yes, just to add on to your last point, in fact, I believe that artificial intelligence is as intelligent as the person who has made it.
Exactly.
If the person, it's like,
Mhm.
in computer language, we say GIGO, garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. Yes. So if you do not provide those controls and those risk avoidance mechanisms and the red flags in place, it's going to churn out crap. Okay. So I love the intriguing discussion. Thank you for all the contributions. Now it gives me some confidence that you guys do not just use the word artificial intelligence loosely. You know where it comes from, how it operates, and what feeds it. Now let's look at the so-called senses that the artificial intelligence picks information from. Everybody can still see my screen, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, no? Okay.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence can be used in various ways. Predictive analysis and deep learning, which is basically ML that you hear, machine learning. Then there is text to speech, speech to text. Almost everybody of us is using it nowadays. There are so many books that are read just because we put text to speech and it reads it for us while we are doing something else. Then basis listening to the text that you're talking about. For example, most of the calls that I go to, which are not typically ISTD calls, but other calls that I do, for example, I'm coaching somebody on something and we want the transcript to be perfect. Speech to text, amazing softwares. There's one of them that I use called Descript, something like that. Yeah, I think it's called Descript. It has 99.8% accuracy. It even picks up my accent. Even if I'm speaking in American accent, I'm speaking in Indian accent, I'm speaking neutral accent, it has 99.7% accuracy. Then there is image recognition and machine vision. That is the eyes of the system. Image recognition. How many of you have heard about various softwares now and even websites where you can upload an image, वो आपको पढ़ के बता देता है उसमें कि आप simply copy paste कर सकते हो.
Even
Have you experienced
Amazon has this. Amazon has this. If I just click a picture of a water bottle and I don't remember the name, or the name is tough, or a flower. A Google scan basically. It is
Google
Yes.
Lens.
it is there.
Google Lens has a piece.
It is there for ages. In fact, 7, 8
Yeah.
years now.
Yeah. So one of the things that I used to struggle is I would find this great image which has some text on it, मगर वो type कौन करेगा? So while all of these words that you guys, same thing, समझ तो आया मगर समझ नहीं आया. I never had access to something that I could simply upload an image on, वो मुझे पढ़ के text में लिख के दे देगा, which I can simply copy paste and use. So you get those softwares now. Earlier maybe it was little hidden, but now it's openly and freely available on the net. Okay, and the ones that you guys are talking about is machine vision, Google Lens and all of those, which allows you to search for similar items. So I saw this item on somebody's desk, I point my camera at it, and now similar items can be shown on the internet. ये यहाँ से मिल रहा है, इस brand का मिल रहा है. Language processing, one of the oldest thing that we started using artificial intelligence for: classification, translation, data extraction. Then there are expert systems, planning and optimization, and robotics, which is highly sophisticated. So when we say expert systems, they can be financial systems. Planning and optimization can be manpower planning, financial planning, revenue distribution, resource allocation. And robotics is like pretty much the robot doing everything. I will share something funny at the end of this, which I found to be very funny. Okay, but then this goes to the point which Shuli just mentioned: machines are as intelligent as human beings are. Okay. On the right-hand side, my favorite representation: the artificial intelligence itself is the umbrella which contains machine learning as its first layer, and at the core, there is deep learning. What is deep learning? Deep learning is a subset of machine learning which makes multi-layer neural networks feasible. Now, many of you might have lost me here. What is a neural network? Anybody wants to take a chance? What is a neural network? What does the word neural bring to your mind?
Brain.
Brain. Nervous system, maybe? Neural?
Neurons. Neurons.
Neurons. Yes, neurons.
Neurotransmission.
So, जब हम एक artificial system बना रहे हैं, then we need the neurons to do the neural transmission, which will create the neural pathways, which is like how our brain is wired. So what we are saying is that जब machine वो कर रहा है, उनके पास तो हमारे cortex नहीं है, हमारा brain नहीं है. So what happens is there is this layer that is created through deep learning, which allows various kind of informations to fire neural responses, which gets transmitted and creates a pathway as to how the information flows, so that the same information can trigger various kind of responses. इससे ज्यादा पढ़ना होगा तो हमें फिजिक्स में जाना पड़ेगा. We need to go more deeper. But just to give you a basic idea, you see the input layer here on the left hand side at the bottom graphic. There is a hidden layer which decides कि कौन से neural pathway में हम भेजेंगे. Depending upon that, the output will be generated. That is determined by deep learning. At this stage, at this subject and this scope, इससे ज़्यादा आपको भी जानने की जरूरत नहीं है. But if somebody is trying to have a very intelligent conversation in front of you and using this word deep learning, you will not lose yourself. You will know where exactly this stands and what exactly this means. And that's why I'm just enabling you. इससे ज़्यादा detail पढ़ सकते हो. You're welcome to do so. But for the subject, for the scope, you don't require it. So we are talking about augmented reality versus virtual reality. Now we are delving a little deeper into various types of implications of artificial intelligence in our life. So augmented reality and virtual reality. This is very easy nowadays because the images itself show what it means. But what are the key differences between augmented reality and virtual reality? It's on the screen. You guys can read it. And also if you want to share in between, when everybody else is done reading, you can also share. This is one of the ways, again, one of the things that people very loosely use: augmented reality and virtual reality. They are not the same words. They mean different. So I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds and let you read the material on the screen. Got it, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
So which is more scary? AR or VR?
We are, ma'am.
We are.
We are.
It's like placebo.
Completely shut down the real world and make the user think that they're really in the virtual. It's like locking yourself into a mental asylum. पता ही नहीं दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है. You are in your
Even
own
though
world.
if you talk, if you take the example of Facebook also, so they
Yeah.
were working on the same direction, but somehow that idea got failed. The people haven't accepted that virtual reality where they were working on the meta.
Yeah.
You can create your avatars and everything,
Yes.
and you can interact in the same manner, but somehow people are not able to relate with that concept, and Facebook got the lots of losses due to the due
Yeah.
to this idea.
Yeah. Sometimes people are not ready for the idea. Maybe 5 years later or maybe 3 years later, people can take it. Right now, it's just too much for them. I will share when we talk about the genesis of learning and development. There is one chapter where we talk about history of learning and development and technology enhancement. We'll talk about the first computer that was generated and how people were not ready to receive it. So we'll talk about it later. But then it also depends upon appetite of people as to how much change and how much of innovation they are willing to receive. Now, one of the examples that I want to share, which is very relevant to our learning space, is onboarding. Many people do virtual tours, especially when you are in the post-pandemic era. I call it the post-pandemic era, where people do not necessarily go into the office or they don't get the good fortune to visit the headquarters. In that situation, many organizations have started doing office tours where you can click on various places and you can see how your office looks like from inside. You become an avatar, you go inside and you start looking everything. Generally, it's done on a computer and you can visit the office virtually. All of you have experienced it?
Yes, even though in my organization also they have started, but people were not able to relate with those avatars.
हमारे सिस्टम में तो वही हो गया, हैंग ही हो गया सिस्टम. इतना बड़ा एपीके था वो. The application pack was so big, it basically froze everybody's.
Campus visit, actually, the college visit and the university visit, virtual visits.
Yeah.
Actually, this
Yeah.
happened a lot during COVID in
COVID.
many museums because they were
Yes.
losing out on money. They were doing
Yeah.
virtual tours where you can sit at home and visit the Louvre Museum and so on. So it's
Yeah.
created this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But then that's a close example for understanding what virtual reality is. Just not a word, just not a concept, but how does it show up in the real world? Augmented reality, most of us are doing. बस Snapchat के filters हैं और पता नहीं दुनिया भर की चीजें लोग कर रहे हैं, which actually is in the phone which we are using, and you are also aware at all times कि real world क्या है. You don't lose yourself because the familiarity is not 100%. It's augmented. Augmented means addition. It's like coffee with cream, with chocolate. But then the coffee, you clearly know the difference between the coffee and the cream. When we're talking about virtual reality, they become same. You're almost immersed in it. You do not sense of the real world. So I promised you guys a mini session on chatbots. So I'm beginning here. It says, hi, chatbot is a computer program that simulates and processes human conversation, allowing humans to interact with digital devices. I briefly talked about cultural responses, what you say in various situations. So chatbots also requires robotic intelligence for the chatbot to understand what to say in one situation in what country. In some countries, some things that you can say and get away can be offensive in some other countries. Okay. So let's understand what chatbots are, how an AI chatbot works. So this is more, again, this might or might not be in the book. I don't think this is in the book. This is mainly for our understanding. Artificial intelligence is the topmost layer. If you see how the processes works, artificial intelligence uses machine learning and deep learning to process the information to provide outcomes like natural language processing, predictive analysis, and sentiment analysis. This is the same graphic that you saw on that screen, but now it's been clearly indicated that how the flow of information happens. So ML and DL are basically responsible for processing the inputs and various kind of outputs. And only there are 3 kinds of outputs that are mentioned here. There can be many others that can be generated. So where can we integrate our chatbots? We can use it for our continuous learning, through LMS. It can support learning processes. Remember, it will never replace a learning process. It's going to support, augment, and empower people to do and try different scenarios. So how does it support the learning process? It can be tutors, which can evaluate final outcomes. It can be a virtual guide. It can be a process tutor that keeps saying, oh, you got it wrong. Oh, you got it wrong. Oh, try again. This is a hint. So it's great to interact and learn with. Then there are various benefits that it can give for learners because it's a two-way conversation. You're not sitting in a corner and trying to learn all by yourself using a hard copy. You can talk, you can learn, you can even play and do some, you can poke the system a bit, you can do vague responses to see what the bot says. So it's engaging. Then learning and application becomes fun. Hesitation to ask questions is limited. There's always some students in any class who will be quiet, who have questions, but they hesitate. They are okay to ask a friend, but they are not necessarily vocal enough to ask that question because they think they will be embarrassed or they lack the confidence. In that situation, chatbots can be great support. And for the organization, it provides us analytics, dashboards, insights, and it allows quicker realization of ROI, return on investment. Okay. So that's the story of the AI chatbot. Of course, can be applied to learner's journey, which means that conversational learning, which is pretty much covered when we talk about supporting learning process. So that's about chatbots. Now, practical applications of chatbots, we've seen it in various banks using it, various organizations which are selling products or services using it. But as a learning system, how many of you have seen or implemented a chatbot in your learning system? Do you have any organizations here who have implemented a chatbot for learning? Other than Udemy, etc., we know that. But other than that, have you guys implemented any chatbots for yourselves?
Not for
in our.
Okay.
Yeah, Garima, please go ahead.
So I was talking about we have LMS and we can, students can, interact this way that we have this chatbot and they can raise tickets for their concern in the modules or the lectures they missed or they have some doubts and at the same time this assists them learning that particular topic or we have our own LMS. So this way it
Wow.
works.
Who has designed it? It's designed in-house?
Earlier it was, my company have, buyed, but now we are working on it and it's called Console now. We are developing it now at,
Okay, you're customizing it mainly for your own need. Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
right.
Great. All right. Anybody else has an example?
Yes, in our organization, we have created a training simulator, or like we need to put the scenarios in that tool. Let's suppose if we are working for some specific process and we need to do some practice, agent need to do some practice. So we need to put those scenarios on that chat tool and agent can do practice. It can be implemented into voice chat or email process also. So like 20-30 scenarios we have added there. Those are critical in nature. So agent can do more or more practice and that tool will give you result whether you are, what is your current score and what are the improvements you needed. So that is how we are using it.
Okay. So one of the things that I saw, I cannot take the name of the organization. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
In my organization, ma'am, we utilize it for fitting onto the advanced system onto the aircraft and checking out whether how is going to be possible and what is the possible scenario humanity is going to get failed and what the results we are going to do out in an actual mission.
क्या बात कर रहे हो? Amazing. Amazing. And Abhijit, which organization is this?
Ma'am, I'm working with the Indian Air Force, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Amazing. This is amazing. Thank you for those examples. मेरे examples तो बहुत छोटे हैं इसके आगे. And honestly, I haven't even seen a chatbot, or maybe I haven't experienced it. I'm old school. I'll myself go and do a control F and search. But
we are in the process of developing one, Tina ma'am.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since we are already working with BCG, the top consultant. Yeah. We are in the process of developing one. Yeah. Actually, we have Accenture with us. So they spearheaded their own chatbot.
I know.
Data analytics. So we have
we sold that chatbot to a lot of people.
yeah. So they spearheaded that part, and so we are now turning it into a different one, but we are going to have it very soon. We have suggested that since we are on the HR project, we are going to have it totally on all the HR processes and systems chatbot ready. Yeah, but that will take some time. Yeah,
I'm sure.
It'll take some time. Yeah.
Madhu, you were about to ask something, then you put your hand down. You saying something?
Yes, ma'am. No, we have skill and yeah, we have skill and simulation lab in our university. उस लैब में जो है मैम हमारे पास एडवांस बनी है एंड उसमें बिफोर पेशेंट जो मेडिकल स्टूडेंट है एंड जो नर्सिंग स्टूडेंट है पेशेंट को टच करने से पहले उनको वहाँ पे सब कुछ सिखाया जाता है रियल सिनेरियो में क्या होगा एंड एक पर्सन है जो कि ईयरफोन लगा के दूसरे साइड रूम में खड़ा रहता है एंड बिल्कुल डमी जैसे बात करता है जैसे पेशेंट बात करेगा कि मुझे यहाँ पे दर्द है एंड आपने जो इंजेक्शन लगाया ऐसे मुझे दर्द हो रहा है प्लीज मुझे धीरे से करो नहीं मुझे ऐसे टच नहीं करना है सो डमी के अंदर से ही वो बिल्कुल ऐसे लगता है कि आवाज आ रहा है एंड
ये तो अलग ही लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस हो गया भाई।
यस 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 मैम सो अगर किसी पेशेंट को जा करके ब्लाइंडली टच कर देंगे तो वो तो बात नहीं बनेगी ना उससे पहले हमको प्रैक्टिकल करके दिखाना होता है अपने स्टूडेंट्स को सो यहाँ पे जो हमारी जो एडवांस मैनिकिन्स हैं वो सब कुछ हम करते हैं उनके ऊपर एंड हम स्टूडेंट्स को सिखाते हैं और वो बहुत अमेजिंग होता है हमारे लिए जैसे हमारे अंदर से नीडल हम लगाएंगे तो ब्लड आएगा ऐसे ही मैनिकिन से सब कुछ है उसमें।
वाओ बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स अब मैं जो यूज टू हूँ इमेज के साथ मेरे दिमाग में जो इमेज है वो है जनरली व्हेन डॉक्टर्स मूव अराउंड दे ऑलवेज हैव अ ग्रुप ऑफ इंटर्न्स विद देम एंड दे आर थर्स्टी। हाँ, दे आर थर्स्टी टू सी अ रेयर केस क्योंकि वो दिखता ही नहीं है बिकॉज इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू सिम्युलेट। So if you can actually do that, you can actually make people better equipped for rare scenarios.
Yes, ma'am.
Students, yeah. This is wonderful. Thank you for these examples. The closest simulation that I've done is the capstone simulation. I don't know whether you guys have done it.
Yes, and
Go ahead.
yes, and students का hesitation भी उससे बहुत कम होता है कि हम पेशेंट से कैसे बात करेंगे, पब्लिक को कैसे डील करेंगे.
Exactly. And especially, I mean, I was about to give a funny example. Okay, I'm going to give that example and move out. Did you guys hear about the robot in China? Did you hear it's not a very recent news, but I think it's a few weeks old. Did you know what a robot in China did?
Committed suicide, something like that?
It's not in China.
Yes,
It
yes,
is in,
Korea.
it's in Korea.
Oh Korea. Sorry,
It's a Korea.
sorry, guys.
It's not China.
I have no
That
prejudice.
doesn't make any difference. All of them looks the same.
No, sorry, Michael, I would never do that.
वही मुझे नहीं बोलना था. It's no prejudice. It's just that I heard that and I was like, machines are evolving at the same rate as human beings. उनको सारा काम दे दोगे तो बेचारे ने suicide ही कर दिया. बताओ, robot ने suicide कर दिया. I still find it funny, but yeah, I'm not being a sadist, okay?
I think that's a way you can sell key. That's also a way you can sell that, AI and robots will not take up humans because even they get fatigued.
Exactly.
And they can do stuff.
And they also can mess up, guys. They can also mess up big time. All right. Thank you for the engagement. Let's see what else we have here today. Now we're going to talk about gamification. So what comes to your mind when we talk about gamification? What's the word or what's the image that
say
comes
something, Tina ma'am, on AI. Can I just say it
yes,
is just
please.
yeah. Just when you're wondering that whether AI is going to take up jobs and like I know somebody who's a technical editor, so she sits and edits and she says, अब तो काम धीरे धीरे कम होते जाएगा, editing भी नहीं रहेगा. She's a content editor and a big one. So, but then suddenly, then she got a mail which said that, no, you got to edit for the AI. You got to edit for the chatbot, okay? So, this is how human interface is going to come. Maybe not direct, not so direct, but yes, it will be there. So, the concerns that AI, yeah.
See, this is baat hai. When you will take content from like zillions and trillions and millions of websites and you will patch it together and create some content. उसके बाद भी it cannot write uniquely as a human being. तो उस पे भी editing तो चाहिए होगा. How many of you already have seen that ChatGPT content is being edited by somebody else? Yes, no, everybody? चैट जीपीटी से कंटेंट आता है, ब्लॉग बनता है,
Yes.
यू पढ़ के बता सकते हैं कि वो चैट जीपीटी कंटेंट है.
Yes,
यूट्यूब में
obviously.
शॉर्ट्स बनते हैं, तो मैं देखने से ही पता चल जाता है कि यूट्यूब में ये एआई पढ़ रहा है और ये पिकासो से इमेजेस लिए हुए हैं. People are going to, enigma is going to die. The uniqueness and the differentiator that human intelligence brings and is unparalleled. And I'm not saying it as a hopeful human. I am talking as a very practical person that you cannot churn unique content from thousands of websites. You need a thought process. And the thought process is with the humans who create that parallel for artificial intelligence. What it can do, Rajlakshmi, is help your colleague hours and hours of research, hours and hours of creating the basic framework together. Now, what she has to do now is, वो basic framework मिल गया, उसको कैसे edit करना है, that she can do. In fact, that will be easier for her and it will save her time. But the job won't go. It's just what value you add. That is what we need to make very clear. And that is what you have to do in each of our jobs, ladies and gentlemen. It's true for learning and development as well. कि क्या ट्रेनिंग करनी है, तो ऑनलाइन रोबोट डाल देंगे, 5 ट्रेनर्स की टीम है, एक ट्रेनर रख देते हैं. बट व्हाट वैल्यू डू यू ऐड एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इंटरवेंशंस आर यू प्रोवाइडिंग? It is, I won't call it a war, but definitely it is about validating your value in the world today. वो दिन चले गए कि आप सोच रहे हो कि one skill you have learned and you sharpened it and you mastered it and you are done. That is not going to be the case. We will all have to show our value to stay relevant. Do you remember that conversation we had about sustainability of workforce? This is where it takes it to. Okay, it's a serious conversation, but I want all of you guys to be mindful of it because it's going to impact us one day or another, sooner than later, in fact, I would say. Okay. Yes, Alankar.
Ma'am, incidentally, my belief is that when we use ChatGPT, sometimes it gives you even better results than what you think of. I give you an example. I named a program. It was an interdivisional program, so I named it something related to cooperation and collaboration. I named it something. And incidentally, the program was organized on the company's core values.
Okay.
And my boss said that I will give a speech to prepare me a speech.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be a speech given to non-executives. So some quotations of Hindi were also required. So I thought let ChatGPT do it. And what ChatGPT did, it threw up a good speech and there was some Hindi quotes in it. And from my perspective, which was actually I tell you the name. The name was Samanvay. So from Samanvay interdivisional, it brought out that there is a Samanvay from your personal values to the company's core value. So with the it was not something that I had thought of, and it was appreciated much. So I think sometimes whatever it throws at you, it even surprises you what is possible. And when you are making any session plans and all, I work on behalf of owner, so I'm not a trainer as such because my role is more administrative. So it beautifully gives you session plans, and at least half your job is done.
Exactly. So there you go. Use it as support. Remember, guys, all help is welcome. As long as you're using it as help and you're not becoming latched onto it, you're not depending on it. But yes, the initial direction you have to provide and then use it just like any other kitchen tool that we use. It's a tool, it's a help. The more you receive it, the more you admit it, and the less you fight it, it's going to be more beneficial for all of you. And thank you for the beautiful example. That just shows how much benefit we can gain from using these tools that are now at our disposal. All right, let's look at gamification. Gamification, converting things into games. Easy to learn, easy to engage, easy to assimilate. So, and the word that we use is engaging and entertaining for the learner. So what are the 9 elements of gamification? Let's go through them. Master narrative. Then there are challenges that you put in it. Then there are various kind of levels that you achieve. You meet the challenges, you achieve a certain level. If you are not doing well, you get instant feedback. Then there are various kind of scores that are maintained at every level. Then you get badges as and when you keep progressing. And then you get rewards. Okay. And then, of course, there are collaboration tasks that you will have to do with other folks. There are various kind of leaderboards that are available when you go into gamification. So does gamification mean all of this or only some of this? An interesting way to look at gamification is also at what level and at what requirement do we really want to implement a gamification plan. So if you say there are 3 levels of gamifications, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Partial gamification is entry level usage. For example, quiz and assessments that we typically do. Baki tumne jaise padhana hai waise padha diya. You use the quiz or assessment bit, or you put a mini project in a traditional e-learning course, which people can complete and they get certified. That's partial gamification. Level 2 is game-based learning, in which the entire learning is converted into a game. It's being done for many organizations. It features scores, badges, leaderboards, etc. You have competitions, all of that. Then my favorite one is level 3, which is gamified learning club. That means it talks about various people being trained on the same topic, but because they have different kind of initial startup knowledge, the learning path begins at different levels for different people. For example, if I have never used a certain gardening tool and I want to learn gardening, I will begin from 0. Whereas if somebody has already learned how to dig, how to tend to plants, they already know about what kind of watering pots have to be used, they will begin at level 3. Somebody else will begin at level 2, which basically means that you are customizing your learning path and you are achieving proficiency at different levels. So everybody finishes the course at the same time, but none of them have to go through information that they're already know. It can be achieved by an initial course, initial quiz, or a mini interview to find out how much people know. And that also reduces the time of the trainer to having to customize the learning path manually, and it allows the game to define what level people will begin at. In Accenture, I experienced it. There used to be different kind of training programs that we had to do, and they were mandatory. So there would be a test that if you clear it, you don't have to take the course. That means you already know the information that is required. If not, you will have to go through the course, which clearly is differentiating people from 0 knowledge to 1 knowledge to 2 knowledge to 3 knowledge, and it then lays out the learning plan accordingly. Then there are gamified portals, which is the ultimate level. It's used in Google. I've experienced it. It's used in Facebook, and it's used in many other top-notch organizations. In fact, it's also used in Deloitte. Where there's a portal which has a gamified approach of all the various learning paths. And they all lead to one solution that no manual intervention will be required. The only person who is designing this learning paths are the humans behind it. This is generally done for multi-regional across countries organizations which have huge number of manpower and who require various kinds of trainings. That is the level of investment that these organizations are willing to do, and it is bringing them the relevant return on investment. It might not be necessary for all organizations. Most organizations can be content with level 1 and level 2. Mid to big organizations can be content with level 2 and level 3, but very large organizations with very ambitious goals would typically go for level 4. Any questions on gamification, guys? And also a logistics check. Are you guys able to hear me clearly? Because there's some noise happening outside the house. Are you guys able to hear me clearly?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much clear.
Okay. Okay.
Loud and
Any
clear.
questions, guys? Michael, you were about to say something?
No.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions on this slide?
No.
Ganesh has used a PlayStation. For me, a PlayStation is something that my one of the neighbor's kid uses. I have never used PlayStation, but I've heard that it's one of the greatest gifts to children because the ones who game, they love PlayStation. For me, it's alien. I've never played PlayStation. How many of you are like me who have never used a PlayStation? Maybe nobody. They might be thinking, oh my God, she doesn't even know what a PlayStation is.
I
I
am
haven't
me.
used it.
Me.
Okay. Somebody
I
supporting me.
haven't also used.
Bharat has put up his hand.
No, but I mean, you should just take the the experience that what
Yeah.
technology has advanced.
Okay.
what simulation they are doing in the, I mean, in machine. So if you just see that, I mean, not as a game, but that game can be converted into real life, some good applications as well, like some
I'm sure.
surgery or
Yeah.
somebody said, right, that
Yeah.
simulated surgery. So
Yes.
that is very much possible. I mean, instead of that
I'm
PlayStation
sure.
handheld devices, you can have these surgery devices. And then you can actually perform that, and that simulation can tell you like something you're wrong somewhere. So those are also happening. So of course, I mean, for
Yeah.
the kids, it's best for the playing games, but then parallel use is also for several applications.
Of course. Of
Yep.
course. And thank you for saying that. Alankar, you were about to say something.
Yes, ma'am. I could not gather the courage to buy PlayStation. The children are so engrossed in this mobile and this computer games. I really dread it. If I buy a PlayStation, what is going to happen?
They will not talk to you anymore.
It is a very addictive one. So I know one person, one
Yeah.
colleague of mine in my like initial organization. So her husband used to play like 14 or 15 hours. He used to play this PlayStation. So he was very addictive to that PlayStation. He used to have all the version of PlayStation and almost 100 plus games. And whenever new game used to come, he used to go to PlayStation store and buy it. Like
That's unhealthy for a marriage. That's
Yeah,
unhealthy
yeah.
for
No,
a
so it is
marriage.
overall technology. Of course, we embrace it, but end of the day, it is really addictive, and we
Yeah.
all are witness those who are parents in the form of mobile and this uh, gaming console is biggest
Threat to family
threat and
time.
villain for the
Children,
family.
children don't want to come out of the room. That's what I'm telling you. My neighbor's kid
Absolutely
has
not.
it.
Absolutely not. Not
He
even
just got
children. The someone just talked about the one who are already married and adult.
yeah,
The one
yeah.
who get addicted with this cannot come out. It is
Oh my God.
as same as the addictions.
I was scared about my Game of Thrones addiction. I mean, that's over, but just imagine not having to come out of your room. I mean, your spouse will leave you if that happens for too long.
One way is even addict your spouse to the same game.
Yeah,
Then you can challenge each other.
exactly. Exactly.
One of the biggest things in gamification which I've seen is in the driving schools. Like obviously
Yes.
there are two
I took
aspects
that
of
test. I know
driving.
what you're talking about. I took that test as
Yes.
well. I
Yes,
remember.
yes,
Yeah.
and that is really helpful because previously, as I said, like the original, or I can say previously, it was like the trainer who is teaching you driving, जितना उनको पता है उतना ही आपको पता है.
Exactly.
But now it is a proper process in gamification. Mostly if you're traveling in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, where there is loads of traffic, the biggest point is stress. And
Yes.
over there, when you get such a virtual option and a gamification
Yes.
option, it helps. But
Yes.
at the same time, the biggest challenge in India now still is the cost of gamification.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
huge,
Yes,
and
in
that
most
is why
organizations, you will be met with a lot of resistance when we talk about,
exactly,
and they
exactly.
will ask for a case study ki benefit dekha. For example, Abhijit very easily mentioned, right? We use artificial intelligence in saying how the machine parts are fitting together, artificial simulation. See, the government can afford those kind of costs because the larger benefit for the country is at the stake. But not all organizations are willing to stake that amount of money unless it's a Google or a Facebook kind of an organization. So you are right. Justifying it is a very big task.
And
Because there's a,
additionally, ma'am, when we look for solutions for
yeah,
in this space, there are also not many. Matlab AR, VR, and
yeah.
gamification. AR, VR also hardware is there, but the moment you
Yes.
say that give me the cassette, give me this
Yeah.
CD to run on it.
Yeah.
So now you need to develop. So
One you
obviously,
need to develop, and it's getting better. I will tell you, initially it was even more sparse. There was almost nothing. But now at least things are getting better. It's getting more popular. In the next 5 to 8 years, I think we will do phenomenal progress in this field because everybody's put their head into it now, trying to develop something which these machines can use.
ma'am, on this, I have an opinion that once
Yeah.
this artificial intelligence, Chat GPT, because already you see videos made with the help of artificial intelligence tool on
Yes.
YouTube. But the
Yes.
moment they get integrated with this gamification stuff, then you will be able to generate a lot of cassettes, as I call it. Because right now, the person who is the technical master, he does not have the wherewithal, and the person who is, it is very tedious also to develop
It is.
any air.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It takes a lot of considerable amount of time and effort to be able to develop something which is compatible and useful and also cost efficient. Otherwise, it just leads cost. So that's one of the reasons why people are hesitating. So my recommendation to all of you would be to try and apply level 1 and level 2, which requires minimal amount of effort in your organization in the easiest way. If you have to allocate training budgets, make sure people are aware of the AI fundamentals. In fact, if any of you would like to reach out separately, there are various free courses for AI fundamentals that you guys can recommend to your team members, either to get reimbursed or include it in the company's arena of education and give those as Diwali gifts to people to learn. Because in today's world, if people have to stay relevant and they are in speed with what's happening in the world, these kind of awareness and education is super, super required. So if you would like to use that, I would highly recommend that all of us start enabling team members and other staff members with understanding, basic understanding of artificial intelligence and how it impacts their lives. If any of you are interested, let me know. I will happily share them because I did a 2.5 hour, 3 hour research the other day for artificial intelligence in leadership development. So I do have some reference material easily available. All right. So back to this. It's super easy. While I'm talking, many of you might have also gone through what's on the screen. I don't want to labor too much on it. We have spoken about this, and this is something that most of us are already enabling this. 1 second. Ganesh is asking me. Ganesh, I will share my phone number in the chat. I am also in the group in which everything Gurvinder ji shares information. So this is me. You guys can reach out to me directly. And in case you need any information, I'll happily send. Just mention your name and mention that you're from batch number 89 because I get a lot of WhatsApp messages. That's okay. You can directly message me. I will take care of it. And in case anybody loses this number, you guys can get it from the admin group. You won't be able to send a message there, but you will be able to send a message independently to me. Just mention your name and batch number. I should be able to reconnect you. All right. So under e-learning, we are talking about that being an umbrella of all-encompassing medium of continuous learning. There's knowledge databases, which is basic. We talked about knowledge databases, all the information which is digitized and available. Then there is synchronous learning, which is done real time with a virtual live trainer. Everybody can communicate directly, which we are doing right now. Synchronous training. And it also includes virtual classrooms, online chats, all of that. Then there is online support where people are talking to each other. There is crowd work that happens. It's little more than knowledge, more interactive than knowledge databases. But again, it's primarily a little more arcane. Nowadays, nobody uses it. And then there is asynchronous training, which is more traditional. It includes self-paced learning. Then there's network learning. It has access to trainers, but it's a little bit clunky in terms of implementation. The most popular way of educating people today, and many of you have already heard about this term, and you in fact told me that you guys have learned about the 70-20-10 model, is blended learning. It combines synchronous and asynchronous learning to make sure that people can interact and also have this control over at what speed they want to learn, when they want to pause, when they want to rewind, and we want to revisit any of the modules that they would like to. So of course, blended learning is the winner. And most of the cases, the blend happens in the 70-20-10 ratio, where 70% is learning on the job, 10% is learning in the classroom, and 20% is learning by doing with the help of a mentor or a coach. They can also supervise you in that simulated environment, or you can watch them perform the job. It can be a manual job, it can be a service, it can be developing a product, it's about handling a phone call, handling a medical insurance claim, etc., etc. Blended learning is the way to go, and that is what is taking on the world. Having said that, we would also like to have an idea of 4 levels of learning interaction. How do you interact and learn? It's passive, There's moderate, there's limited, and then there's simulated. Very easy. Passive is no interaction. The content has images, graphics, animations, rollovers. You keep going through it. There isn't a way that you can interact with the system. These are typically which we say that हमें ये learning module बनाना है. You outsource it. The vendor goes ahead, puts in the material in an interactive way, fastest, cheapest, create it, give it to people, learn, done. Then there's limited interaction. जैसे आपने पूरा किया, the module is completed. Then there is glossaries, external resources which are clickable. There's assessments which are interactive. That is limited interaction. Then there's moderate interaction, which is complex interaction. For example, yes, no questions. Would you like to proceed? Would you like to pause? Would you like to resume from where you began? That's moderate interaction, which also requires availability of multiple people, multiple voices, multiple subject experts to be able to make that moderately interactable. It has multiple scenarios that you can play with. For example, let us say that we are designing a medical product or an insurance product, which has various kinds of scenarios. It is for people who are more than 40 years of age, less than 40 years of age. It's for seniors. It's for kids. So in various situations, how do you handle an insurance claim? You can use that as a separate a separate scenario for each one of them, and that can have moderate interaction for you to interact with the system and learn. And then the final one is the ultimate, where we are talking about a completely interactive game where everything is simulated. You can interact with each and everything on each and every screen, and you can learn at your own pace. It's real-time learning. It's basically using gaming technology. In most cases, if you recollect, it's level number 4, and there are 3D simulations and practicals, and includes all the elements of passive, limited, and moderate learning interactions. Okay, this is a graphic. It's not there in the book. You will get it in the presentation. It's just an easy way to remember on the screen for all of you to recollect even during your exams. Okay, there is some additional reading that I have provided to all of you. And this again is not mandatory. You can use it at your own time. You will be able to recollect the concepts we have covered in the class. And in case there are any questions, etc., there's a self-assessment that you can play with. I will send out the additional reading material, and I can see you on 29th September. That brings a wrap to module number 4, and we are great on time. It's 3:27. I'm going to stop the share. And any questions, feedback, comments you guys have, I'm happy to take them. I have 3 minutes. Anybody? Any sharing? Any questions? Any doubts?
Can I ask one question?
Yes. Yes, Ganesh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, whether it is relevant or how it could be a question. But right now we are talking about AI and various technologies. So
yes.
Just using the Zoom, I think it is just the interaction of a person and maybe
Yes.
the learners. So
virtual trainer and training. That's what it
yeah,
would come under.
yeah. So anything is going on, something like if you want to give example that will immediately pop up somewhere, and something like that, information that we can use through AI, which will become more interactive, or which will become more addition to virtual tutor or the virtual student.
Yes.
So
So
is
if
something
we
there?
buy the advanced Zoom version, it will take notes for you. So I
Okay.
can begin the AI assistant, which I don't see here. Do I see? Wait, let me look at the panel. Yeah, see, there is an AI companion at the bottom. I don't know whether you guys can see it or not. I'm the admin, so I can see it. I can use the AI companion to track how many students are interactive, how many were quiet, how many dropped in, dropped out, how many logged on time, and then it can also make notes for me. So see, I get analytics, and then it will make notes for me. It can also send the note summary if I provide email addresses, because some of the coaching sessions I use the AI companion, and it's quite accurate, I must tell you. It's quite accurate. It captures your voice, it writes everything down, and it also asks you for being edited, that before sending out the notes, would you like to edit them? So I don't have to do anything. So you get a transcript of what I said, you get notes, you get the transcript, and I get the attendance report, and I get interaction, and I also see how many people had technology problems and everything. See, that's an enhancement right there.
Okay.
Then there are many other Zoom versions which allows multiple trainers to log on at the same time and talk, others to get muted automatically. And the moment somebody starts talking, they get unmuted automatically. You can set up all those things. Then there is the dark mode, and there's the light mode. Then there is a gallery where you can see all the students together rather than these boxes. So there are a lot of examples just in Zoom itself that you can explore. It's called the Zoom Enterprise version. Play with that. Zoom Enterprise version, if you go into that, you will see there are a lot of additional features. Even in this basic version also, you will get additional features. All right, guys, I'm done. It's a wrap. It's 3:30 exact, not taking any additional time. I'll see you guys on 29 and have a rest of the Sunday enjoyable. See you soon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bye. Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Bye.